Human trafficking is real, and it happens in our own backyards. A recent arrest was made with a case out of El Dorado. The reality is humans are bought and sold, and that could be a tough thing to wrap our heads around. So now more than ever, one local organization is hoping the media's attention to social justice will bring about more needed awareness. Three Strands Global Foundation's Ashlie Bryant joins us now with her thoughts on what's regarded as a form of modern-day slavery. Ashlie, thanks for joining me.
Good morning, Aubrey. Thank you so much for having us this morning.
Well, human trafficking, it's gotten more media attention with events like the Jeffrey Epstein case, which even has a special that's being widely viewed on Netflix. What are your thoughts on this? Is it being glamorized?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the question. You know, I think we have to be discerning in this place. The Netflix show on Epstein, some of the scandal that was inaccurate about Wayfair just this last week. We need to really understand what human trafficking is and what it isn't.
Why don't you tell us what it is and what it isn't?
Yeah, so I think of it, as an umbrella term. So we talk a lot about commercial sexual exploitation, which is one of the forms of human trafficking. The other is forced labor. So when we think about human trafficking, if you think of it as an umbrella term, and there's two handles to the umbrella, one is commercial sex or sex trafficking, and the other is forced labor. That helps us understand sort of the definition in the United States as we look at data and where human trafficking is happening.
Why is it important that human trafficking cases are paid attention to, and not just the ones that may involve a huge corporation or high-power individual?
Human trafficking hides in plain sight. We talk about that it happens in all 50 states. The National Trafficking Hotline actually records the data every year and has a report that comes out from Washington, D.C. And I think that if we, to your point, glamorize it, or we think about it only happening in certain places, whether it's black, dark alleys or with the high and the rich, the filthy rich, as the shows, we need to remember that it's a crime of force, fraud, and coercion. Right? That's really what it is. And we need to be aware of not only the two types of trafficking, but those three elements as well. And then we need to be aware that the vulnerability is what they're preying on. Right? Traffickers are really preying on vulnerabilities of adults or our youth. And as our youth are online right now, we need to be aware and empowered, not fearful, but empowered as to where are our kids, how are they online, and how are we as guardians or parents or caregivers making sure that they're safe.
Yeah, great point. So important with our kids, especially to monitor what they're doing online. When we talk about human trafficking, it's a crime that happens in our own communities. And I hear that your organization actually started because of a case that took place here in the Sacramento region.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, my good friend's daughter was trafficked. She was hanging out with some of her high school friends. Trafficker had befriended the group of 17, 18-year-olds, and he, after hours and hours of socializing with the students, offered to take all of them home. And rather than take her home, he actually sold her on Craigslist to another trafficker in the Bay Area, where she was sold 15 to 20 times a day to men who were seeking to have sex with minors. And that is sex trafficking. Right? She was recovered by law enforcement and she's doing very well, but that is one example, and there are many, right? The continuum of how trafficking happens is very deep and wide, right? It could happen like this. It's unique. It doesn't always happen like that. A lot of times it could be a familial trafficking case. Mm-hmm. It could be someone who's known for a very long time. This is not a take and grab crime, right? That is a myth that we want to debunk. It isn't. It is one of getting to know someone, befriending someone, looking for the vulnerability in someone so that they can take advantage of that and exploit that. That's human trafficking.
Well, obviously this is such an important issue and something that you're very passionate about. Can you tell us a little bit more about Three Strands Global and the services that you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking that, because, I think for us, and this is 11 years of doing this work, and we look at prevention as that it changes everything. So how do we go upstream? How do we stop the crime before it starts? And so for Three Strands, we have three areas of focus. One is prevention education, the other is prevention through employment, and then prevention through engagement. So we call them our 3 E's. Our prevention education program is called Protect. It is for teachers, administrators. They actually can log into an online platform right now because of the online and distance learning. That's an important component. Mm-hmm. They can become aware and get knowledge on what human trafficking is, and then teach curriculum to their students. in elementary, middle, and high school. The employment program is making sure survivors and at risk have sustainable jobs. We know that financial insecurity is one of the things that exploiters exploit. And so we want to make sure that those who are vulnerable to trafficking or have been trafficked aren't being exploited, and then they have a sustainable job. And then the last area of focus is our engagement. We have every year the Break Free Run. We usually have it in the fall, but with shelter in place, we have moved it to April 10th. So everyone can actually even register for the Break Free Run now. And that's a place where we can just engage together, stand up against this injustice and say that this is not okay and that everyone can do something. And that's our E for engagement.
Now, the education and the awareness piece is huge in just letting people know what it is and you know what they can do. But you also want to take some legal action. You're doing that. Tell us about the Assembly bill.
Yeah, and that actually was in 2017. Really, the work that we had done in prevention for the years that we've been in schools, we wanted to make sure that there was a mandate for educators to be trained and for students to be educated. So in 2017, Assemblyman Bonta actually authored AB 1227, and Three Strands Global Foundation was very influential in that legislation. And we were really pleased when Governor Brown signed that bill into law, and it went into effect January 2018. So now it is a mandate that our staff must be trained and know how to identify in the classroom those signs and indicators of human trafficking, as well as students once in middle school and once in high school must be educated.
And Ashlie, before I let you go, if someone suspects human trafficking or that they're witnessing or know about it, what should they do?
No, it's a great question. I think that, we led with this crime hides in plain sight. And so if you suspect, we talk about in our curriculum with our students, that inner voice, right? Your inner gut says something's just not right and you just feel like it's not right. There are lots of things that you can do. You can call the National Trafficking Hotline. I'll give you that number right now. It's 1-888-373-7888. You can call that number and you can tell someone what you suspect, be as detailed as possible on location, what you see, so that they can have that information. The second thing that you can do is you can call 911. If it's something that you feel is emergency and immediate, that someone needs help, you can do that. Law enforcement, they are so now educated, they understand trauma, they understand things. And then 3, just don't get involved, right? So don't put yourself in harm's way. The first 2 are the very best things to do, 1 and 2. Call the National Trafficking Hotline or your local law enforcement.
Great advice, Ashlie, and thanks for spreading some awareness on this issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us, Aubrey.
All right. And for more information, visit threestrandsglobalfoundation.org. And if you or someone you know is a victim of human trafficking, that National Human Trafficking Hotline again is 888-373-7888.